This is Trigger Happy Tactical Podcast. And right now it's time to lock, load, and holster up. Let's talk about concealed carry holster system that actually delivers. All right, everybody, welcome back to Trigger Happy Tactical Podcast, the show that always has you locked, loaded, and lethal when it comes to gear, guns, and good sense. I am your awesome host, Jeremy Burrs, and today we're going to be diving deep on a piece of kit that's earned every bit of my respect. This isn't some sponsored thing. It isn't fluff. This is real talk about a holster system that I've run hard. I beat the hell out of this thing and relied on this thing daily since I've got it. After more than 5,000 draws, countless drills and skills, and a full week-long running and gunning instructor certification course, I've got one thing to say. The Dara Concealment Holster System is the best EDC holster I've ever used, period. But let's break down why that's the case. First up, let's start with some of the basics. What I'm going to say is kind of the more boring side of things. We're going to talk about how much this thing actually costs. And if you've ever been in any of my classes or you've listened to any other podcasts of mine or episodes of the podcast, or even my YouTube channel at D5 Ranges Marengo on YouTube, you know that you get what you pay for when it comes to a holster. Cheap holsters aren't good, and good holsters aren't cheap. You get what you pay for when it comes to a holster. And when you really think about it, a holster is probably one of the more important pieces of kit you can have. It's kind of part of that trifecta of concealed carrier training. 1, good, reliable firearm. 2, get training. The firearm does you no good if you aren't training with that thing. And 3, the last part of kind of that little triad of concealed carry is a good, high-quality holster. So when it comes to this holster, you've got options with this thing, and you can also kind of combo option it. We can start off with their appendix carry inside the waistband, kind of / inside the waistband with no mag carrier. It's going to run you $89.99. If you're talking an outside the waistband version of it with no mag carrier, you're looking at $98.99. If you want to run it as your full appendix rig, which has that mag carrier with it, it's $129.99. Or you can go full balls to the wall send and get the complete system that they offer, which is basically set to be able to run it appendix carry inside the waistband, standard inside the waistband, or outside the waistband. And it has that mag holder attached to it, but there's a caveat. It can be detached. But if you want fancy colors or cool patterns, or you just kind of want to customize it, that is going to cost you a little extra coin because, well, anytime you go a little bit more Gucci, expect to pay for it, right? You want to go with a sweat shield? That's optional. You can do that too. Some people like sweat shields. Some people don't. I personally like a sweat shield. It keeps the gun off your body and it adds a little comfort layer for me. But that's kind of just one of those things that makes this a personal decision. But if you go without the sweat shield, cool little hack on this is if you go without the sweat shield, the rig actually becomes fully ambidextrous. Meaning without a sweat shield, you simply flip the clips around to the other side and you've got a left-handed holster or a right-handed holster by simply just swapping the clips. So that sweat shield can potentially limit you just a tiny little bit on whether you want to run it right-handed versus left-handed, but most people have it set to what they want, and that's just what they do. And with this holster, modularity is going to be king with this thing. You can run your mag holder attached, or you can detach it and clip it separately in a different location, and that gives you a multitude of carry setups for this thing. You can run this thing strong side inside the waistband, appendix carry it. You can run it appendix rig with the mag carrier attached. You can run it outside the waistband. You can run it appendix rig with mag carrier detached and have that positioned somewhere else. You can run it outside the waistband and have the mag carrier located somewhere else. So you've got options with this holster, and it's cool because it's kind of a kit if you decide to go that direction. And that mag holder that's on there is extremely universal. It's compatible with all different types of mags and built with the right blend of tactical flexibility and hard use durability. The mag holder is pretty dope on this thing. We'll talk more about that a little bit later. But I found the mag holder to work with a large variety of different type of mags that I've tried to put in that sort of thing. So you can use that mag holder for all sorts of different magazines that you would have. Now let's talk about materials, building materials, and let's start off with the holster itself. The holster body or the holster itself is made from either a Bolteron or a Kydex, and that really just depends on your selected pattern. If you're going with their more traditional colorway, you're going to get the Bolteron. If you're going with something a little bit more Gucci and you're going with patterns and stuff like that, there's a good chance that that's going to be Kydex. Both of these materials, though, they're super rock solid. They're durable thermoplastics that hold shape, resist heat, won't collapse under pressure. They have a bit of flexibility to them so they don't just crack right away, but really don't get too caught up on the Bolteron versus Kydex, because basically what they are is the same thing, just different brand name. They are equally as awesome products as the other. With this holster, you do have full ride height adjustability and cant angle adjustability, and that means you can tailor this thing exactly to your draw stroke or to your body type, your carry preference, or just what feels most comfortable for you and the way that you're carrying, or maybe even the type of clothes that you're carrying, or maybe where you're carrying extra weight or maybe some extra, stuff around the waist. All these little things can help kind of tailor that to the way that you want to. Even when I have students in class, if they have some issues, even with like their shoulders or their arms, we can change that ride height and cant angle to make it easier to be able to draw out of that holster if you have some of those, let's say, body ailments, right? The retention system on this thing is super fine adjustable. I really do enjoy the retention system that's on here. And once it's dialed in, I didn't have to mess with it again. I basically got it set to my kind of perfect retention, I guess you'd say. And I didn't have to mess with it after that. I didn't find it like a couple other holsters that I've had. It constantly like loosening up on me. It was always right there and it was super, super solid. The retention is awesome. But right, with retention, we always have to look at the other side of that, because retention is holding it into the holster. But how do we do that without compromising speed? And it's just through sheer adjustability. You have to get that right level of retention for what you're doing in your training and in your mobility. And we can't have it compromise that speed. So it has to be fast to draw, but it also needs to solidly lock that firearm in the holster. And you do get that really good audible click as you input it, and with some adjustment, there is zero compromise on draw speed on this thing. Obviously, for somebody who's a whole lot more active, you're going to be taking this gun and you're literally going to be running, or you're doing like, I don't know, backflips. I guess we'll call them tactical backflips. If you're doing tactical backflips, you're obviously going to want a little bit more retention adjusted into it, but don't forget that does compromise your draw speed just a tiny little bit, or at least takes more effort. The sight channels on here, they accommodate like suppressor height sights up to 1/2 inch, or just big chunky sights all the way up to 1/2 inch. And the holster is fully red dot capable or compatible, so you don't have to worry about it based on your dots. I ran a few different dots on my gun to start off with because I was kind of unsure, or I was doing some optics testing, and this holster had no problem with any of the red dots that I had on my firearm. They weren't even really close to being an issue. And they do offer the holster with light-bearing models. So if you're running a weapon-mounted light, you're covered, dude. You're totally fine on that. And they've got a vast selection on it. Now, what I will say is their selection is growing every day on the firearms or the firearm and light combos that they're doing with this. It's constantly updating. I'm constantly seeing new firearms added to their list of guns that are covered. So if you don't see it in there, don't get discouraged. There's a good chance if it's a fairly normal or popular model, that you're going to get a holster pretty soon for it. If not, kind of a cool thing is you can actually shoot them an email or through their contact us on the page and let them know that you're interested in getting a holster for your gun. And I'm sure if they got a few that said, hey, I want it for XYZ firearm, it's going to be more apt for them to want to manufacture something for that. So they are going to hear your input based on that. So just contact them. Now let's talk about that concealment claw that they've got on there. This isn't your average plastic tab. Too many holsters that I've tried out, even really, really good holsters that I really, really like, have a plastic concealment claw, which, I don't know, to me doesn't make any sense. Especially if you're in climates like, we're in Northern Illinois, real close to the Wisconsin border here, and it can get stupidly cold. And my trust level in plastics when they get cold, I don't really have it. There's no trust there. So it's odd to see even these really expensive holsters have this plastic concealment claw for it, but not Dara. Dara uses a full billet claw for it. It's actually really pretty part of the holster, if you want me to be honest. And the billet claw, the concealment claw, is independent from the rest of the retention system, which I found to be an Achilles heel on a lot of other holsters, that the concealment claw is attached to the same things that adjust your retention. So as you loosen your retention, on some holsters, you're actually loosening up your concealment claw too, which then causes it to shift or causes it to rattle. And I don't know, it just doesn't make any sense. So it's another thing that was this careful paying attention to detail with this holster. And again, like I said, that means when you loosen or tighten your retention, it doesn't affect that claw's function in any way. And if you're kind of wondering what the hell is a concealment claw, your holster may or may not have that you're currently running, but it's basically going to be a claw that kind of pushes against what I would say is your belt or your belt line, right? And that pushes that firearm a little bit into your body, which is going to give you much better and deeper concealment. And for me, it gives me greater level of comfort because it's not putting pressure into one area or hot spotting. It's using my belt or the waist of my jeans or my pants to kind of push this into my body just a little bit. And then let's talk about the belt loops, right? The things that are actually attaching the holster to you. Again, these aren't flimsy plastic clips that I see on a lot of other holsters, or really flimsy little metal tabs that have a tendency to like wear out or bend out or kind of lose their memory of where they want to be in retention to your belt. These are made from what they call long glass filled nylon. I actually had to look that up and reference one of their videos because I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Isn't it just nylon? Isn't that just, I don't know, plastic in a way? No, long glass filled nylon is an engineering grade polymer. And most people reference this engineering grade polymer to be as strong as aluminum, which is super cool, right? Because now you've got this nylon that is this long glass fill to it, and it's got all the benefits of nylon, but it's just as strong as aluminum, which is really, really cool. It's super rigid. It retains its memory really well. To, let's say, like that clippability or that retention clippability. I don't even know if that's a word, but you get what I'm trying to say here. But again, it's the kind of details that tell you the system was designed by people who actually carry guns, right? Not just people who want to design something to make money. This is designed by people who actually use this product or have their loved ones use this product. So they wanted to make sure it was a super dope product. And now let's talk about the mag holder, which I had to have a sidebar conversation with one of the guys that I was shooting with recently when I was talking about this holster to him. And we were just kind of on that conversation about holsters. And he noticed that my mag holder didn't work the way a lot of people think it does. So let's talk about what the mag holder is made out of. It's made from a material called Tegris, which is a woven thermal molded composite that's extremely lightweight, durable, and flexible. And I would say it's somewhat similar to like carbon fiber. If I were to really call it close to something, I'd say it's similar to like a carbon fiber. And then the wrap around it is a material called Squadron, which is a tough nylon that's used in a lot of tactical gear. You'll see it in a lot of plate carriers. You'll see it in a lot of all sorts of tactical gear because it's really strong, it's really abrasion resistant, and it's hydrophobic, meaning it doesn't absorb water, so it doesn't gain weight from that water, and it won't hold water against, the materials that you're storing in it, in this case, the magazine. But the cool part about this is the way that it folds or collapses, I guess. But more on that in a second. The mag pouch is connected to the holster, though, with like a shock cord, right? It's kind of think paracord, but gives a lot of flex, though, has like some elasticity to it, giving it this flexibility and movement with your body, right? So as opposed to just a blatant hinge, right, that only kind of moves forward and backwards or in and out, this gives it the ability to kind of flex in all directions. And it's really neat because as I was kneeling and shooting, from a kneel, or as I was sitting just simply in a chair in my office, or as I was shooting underneath a car, or as I was, manipulating a corner or laying on the ground or whatever, it gave the ability for this whole thing to shift in multiple different directions, but it was always still located where I wanted. So that shock cord was a really great way to have that attached to the holster setup. But now let's touch base again on the materials used, right? That Squadron and that Tegris, they're meant to be really flexible in themselves too. But notice that it's a nylon, that Squadron, and this is actually kind of genius. And I didn't think about this at first, but I brought it up in conversation. And what's genius about this is that the mag pouch is actually designed to collapse after the mag is drawn. Now, I know some of you are going to poo-poo on there, right? Because y'all got your favorite mag holder that fits inside your pants and it doesn't collapse, so it makes it easy to take your mag and in and out with your mag. But do we need to take it in and out of the mag? I find that the collapsing of that mag holder is part of the genius behind it, because when it collapses, it now frees up space, and that freed up space adds more comfort, and it prioritizes what matters, the draw of the mag from the holster, from the mag holder, not the reholstering the mag into the mag holder, right? I mean, it makes sense. And it puts a whole lot more comfort, in your pants if the thing can collapse down, right? Now, yeah, you can reholster a mag if you want to into this thing, but it will take a little bit more time or a little bit more thought or effort behind it. But real world logic is kind of simple when you think about it, because in a gunfight, you're not reholstering a mag. You're fighting. And really, once the threat is over or has been eliminated, you've now got that time to redeposit a mag if you need to. But why in the middle of a gunfight would I think about redepositing a mag quickly into that mag holder? If I'm doing a tac reload, that means I'm out of ammunition and I simply need to get that mag in as fast as possible, and I'm going to drop the mag to the ground because an empty mag is a useless mag in a gunfight. And if I have a lull in the fight or a place of barricade, cover, or concealment where I'm doing a tac reload, well, I'm going to stow that into a pocket or something, because I never put a partially filled mag into a mag holder. I always want to know that the mag that's in a mag holder is always full 100%, right? So I don't need to worry about putting that mag back in. And again, once the threat is over, I now got the time to do that. And again, this is designed by people who get it. They took a step back and they said, well, the ones that go inside your waistband that don't collapse and they're rigid, they're really fucking uncomfortable. And they kind of are a pain in the ass with mobility. So how do we solve that problem? And they did with this mag holder that kind of collapses down, right? Now, let's shift gears a little bit in this conversation. And now I want to talk to you a little bit about what I call the Dara difference, right? Or like a customer service story when it comes to this. You can be a company that makes a spectacular product, but if the company itself sucks, it puts a huge stain on the company, right? How many times have you had a great product, but then you had to reach out to the company and you can't get a hold of anybody? Or you had to have a warranty done and you can't get a hold of anybody and you can't get a call tag for that warranty. Or when you send it in for warranty, they reject your warranty claim and say that it was, you abused it, or, they don't get that holster back to you or that product back to you for 6 weeks. And now you're without that object or that item for 6 weeks. So a company can ruin its product. Absolutely. No questions asked, right? And I deal with a lot of companies. And I'm going to tell you, especially in the gun world, there is a whole lot of shit customer service out there. So let's talk about Dara as a company really quick, because this really kind of, it blew my mind a little bit. Dara has been in business for over 13 years, so they're not newcomers to this. They've been making quality products for 13 years, right? And they've been making their holsters American-made. This is an American-made product from an American-made company. Now, here's where Dara really sets itself apart as a company. And I'm going to go down a little bit of a story here for you. A couple of years back, or actually, no, maybe not even that long. So I discovered Dara holsters quite a long time ago. And I really, really enjoyed the holster. And that was more because I was just looking to find a new combat holster or a new duty holster. And, I had tried a few different brands, found Dara, fucking loved the holster. And then maybe not quite a couple of years ago, but maybe about a year ago, I did a review of duty holsters on our YouTube channel at D5 Ranges Marengo. And I kind of took a bunch of duty holsters and I tried them out and I beat the crap out of them. And I tried my hardest to break them and really mess these things up. And I kind of dwindled it down to like my two favorites. And then I kind of fought those two favorites against each other. And the Dara holster there tied for first place. I mean, it's a first place holster in duty holsters. And it's cool because, I train and teach and talk to a lot of law enforcement. They come in and train at our facilities. And I've pushed a lot of cops in that direction too. And they all loved it once they started making that switch to a Dara holster. But in that video, I did have one tiny little complaint. And it was simply about the button or the lever, I guess you'd say, that pops the retention hood off the top. And seriously, dude, I had to dig to find something wrong. And I had to find something that was a con on it. You can't have a video that's all pros. Even if you think it's small, you got to talk about that con, right? And Dara saw the video. And instead of ignoring it, they sent me an email right away. And they listened. They listened to what I had to say in that video. They didn't just take that feedback of that little con that I said. They jumped on it ASAP. They acted on it as fast as you can possibly think. And they went back to the drawing board and they redesigned an assembly of parts, I guess I would say, or a way to customize that button for the size of your finger or the way that you're used to drawing. And they retrofitted this neat little part for me, or a combination of parts. And they sent it to me and they said, hey, dude, what do you think about this? Because we didn't want you to have this con to our holster. And the cool part is those parts simply fit onto the existing holster I had. It fixed the issue without making like a 2.0 version. Because had they just made a 2.0 holster, that would force everybody who's got this version to have to buy another holster, to be out all that money to buy a new holster because they used the quote unquote 2.0 model to fix the issues. Instead, they just simply made a retrofit kit so that it would fit everybody's finger length or finger types or draw types. It's fucking awesome, right? So I gotta say it. Other companies here start to take note, because if you can learn anything, it's listen to your customer base and do something about it, right? Most customers aren't just talking shit to talk shit. Well, I take that back. This is the day and age of people simply just talking shit in the comment section because it makes them feel good. But that being said, if you weed all the bullshit out and you actually listen to your customers and you fix those things, dude, that's big for a company in itself. And people will flock to that company because of that. And if you have a great product to back it up, that's a winning recipe for success. So other companies, you got to pay attention to what Dara did here. And when you think about it, another cool thing that I found out, actually, as I talked to Dara just maybe a week or two ago, I also found out another cool little thing. The gentleman that I was talking to brought up something about how they heavily invested a shit ton of money in buying a new machine. And that new machine was purchased just to produce one tiny little itty bitty component for their holster. It's simply like a little end, like the little plastic ends you have on your shoelace. Think of something like that, but made out of obviously a different material to keep a very low profile to hide that tie inside the holster so it doesn't make contact with your skin and it makes it more comfortable. Yeah, the company invested a ton of money in a machine to build a tiny little itty bitty part to make this holster more comfortable for you. So I figured I'd just kind of give you a little bit of that backstory on that, because for me, it gives me the feel goods on a company when I tell that. Now, let me get off my high horse on my little story here. And let's start to talk about the real world performance of this. And let me just kind of hit you with some numbers of the original holster that I was using to make this podcast originally. My holster was no frills and thrills as far as color. It was just a simple black. But it was to fit a full-size Sig P320 AXG Legion. So we're talking about a big, full-size, full-framed gun with an alloy frame to it. So it's a chunky bitch nonetheless, and she's heavy, right? I ran that with a full mag. I think last time I was running it for the almost week-long course, combat course or defensive pistol course, I was running full-size mags in it, fully loaded out. I carried this thing every single day since I got it for weeks and weeks and weeks. I carried it every single day from the minute I woke up to the minute I went to bed. I did daily dry fires at home, walking around the house. Thank God my neighbors didn't see it because they would think I'm fucking nuts. I did a bunch of dry fire at the shop and on range. I did a bunch of range work. I was doing a ton of just skills and drills. I was, fighting time on the timer. I was running accuracy drills, shooting from behind barricade cover, concealment. I did really long sessions. I mean, we had some 13, 14, 15-hour days shooting, running, gunning, and always, putting back into the holster, drawing from a holster, mag changes. I did a lot of training in the shoot house, so a lot of fast manipulations, a lot of, working on corners, slicing a pie, stairwells, door breaches, stuff like that, and a lot of teaching. And simply just being out on the sales floor, just talking to people. It was amazing how many people had no idea I had a full-size firearm on my person. I also did basically a week-long USCCA defensive pistol instructors course to certify, instructors to teach the defensive pistol course, and they beat the shit out of us. It was awesome. I loved every second of it. In combination, I stopped logging it, but I've got over 5,000 draws from this holster system and a shit ton from the mag holder. I mean, obviously I didn't draw from the mag holder quite as much as the draws from the pistol, I would say, but I'm up there. I'm probably damn near that. And what can we say about the performance of this holster? Flawless. It's flawless. I didn't find a single con in this thing, which I always have to find a con in something. So I don't know. Give me a minute. I'll try to think of something for you. But through the months of using this, I couldn't come up with a con, to be totally honest with you. I don't know. Maybe the con was it didn't have my logo on it. I don't know. Honestly, who gives a shit if it had my logo on it anyways, because I ran an appendix carry inside the waistband. You never see the damn thing, right? But the draws on this thing were fast and they were smooth. Mag changes were just as clean. I mean, it didn't skip a beat on pulling neither my firearm or pulling a mag for a mag change. And my retention held steady. every night after a training session or after every time out on the range, I didn't have to adjust my retention again. It just was locked in place. And it moved with me, not against me. There's quite a few holsters that I've had that while they felt comfortable standing and not moving, the minute I started getting myself into awkward positions, or even simply sitting in my desk or sitting in my car or shooting, with your ass in the air, trying to shoot underneath a car to hit a target, it started fighting me. They started fighting me, not this holster. It worked with my body, not against my body. The holster simply disappeared underneath the t-shirt. It was just gone. Now, to be perfectly honest with you, I had to ensure that I had a loose enough t-shirt to do that because I'm not a big dude. I'm 5'11" and 180 pounds. Not a big dude by any manner. So hiding a full-size metal gun with a full mag is not an easy task. And the holster can only do so much in regards to that. But the setup did make it effortless to do that. I just had to ensure that I had a baggy enough shirt on to not print right through. But it did a spectacular job. Again, it took a little effort on my behalf on the wardrobe, right? Ensuring that I was wearing the right clothing. But once I ensured I had the right clothing, I had no issues with it whatsoever. But to be totally honest with you, full disclosure, if you're 5'2" and you're 115 pounds, you're not going to be able to hide a full-size metal gun with a 21 round mag unless you're wearing like a muumuu or a big ass winter jacket. If you're just wearing a t-shirt and it's a fairly fitting t-shirt, no matter how awesome the holster is, you will not hide it. That's just being totally honest with you. So don't buy this holster thinking, oh, this is awesome. I'm going to have my Staccato XC, in a 20 round mag in my pants inside the waistband with a form-fitting shirt, and it's going to make it disappear if you're 5'2". It's not going to happen, right? I mean, within reason on this sort of stuff. But I used to reserve the P320 AXG Legion for a winter carry gun because then I had, looser clothes. I had multiple layers on and stuff like that, but not anymore, to be honest with you. Dara changed my mind on this. I didn't have any problem with the weight of the gun because of the design of the holster, the way it retained to me, the way the claw worked, right? I had no issues whatsoever on that, right? To be honest with you, I might actually carry this gun more in the summer when I'm just wearing a single layer t-shirt. As long as I select the right shirt, I'm good to go. And with this thing, I've practiced everything from single shot draws, right? Just how fast can I go from a hands up position to removing it from concealment, right? Lifting my shirt, drawing single shot, high center chest in target, right? To speed reload drills, to tack reload drills, bill drills, and combat focused transitions, transitioning from a rifle to a pistol to a rifle, working a lot of CQB work. But whether I'm on the range, teaching students, or running high stress drills in a shoot house, the holster held up. It's a bad bitch. I ran this rig through a bunch of environments too. I was shooting for multiple days in an outdoor range or on an outdoor range. It was in the 90s. We were out in the sun almost the whole time. One of the days we had a literal fucking monsoon where the rain was coming down sideways. We decided to still shoot. I was working in, I don't know that I would call it sand, but loose, dry dirt. Yeah, I guess sand. And that was getting in there. I was laying on it. I was, on the indoor range under high pressure drills, high round count weeks and weekends, shoot house CQB work, long days and instructor level coursework. I did it all, man, with this holster. Didn't skip a beat. I deliberately tested outward or awkward draw angles. I tried to pull it from all different weird angles. I tried one-handed reholstering with pinching my shirt, injured arm draws and reholsters. Access under full stress, under somebody running at you with simulated knife. So all sorts of cool stuff. And the Dara holster passed all of it. There was no digging into my body, no shifting around, no fumbling with retention. I could run, crouch, go prone, hit the deck, and the holster didn't move unless I made it move. You know what? Come to think of it, I think I just found my first or my only con for this holster. When we were shooting outside in the heat, I was drinking a lot of water. A lot of water means I had to pee a lot. Because I had a full-size, full-frame firearm in my pants appendix carry, and I rode it really low, I did have to unclip one side or shift one side in order to take a piss. Once I learned that I had to do that, the first time was a little fumbly. Second, third, fourth, and 5,000th time I had to pee. It was pretty quick and painless and easy, but having a big giant gun low riding inside, appendix carry your waistband, yeah, it could cause a problem while you need to take a piss. So there you go. There's the one con if I can remember it. But even after hours on the range or full days of instructing, comfort never became an issue for me. I mean, I was sweating bullets, so I would have assumed somewhere I would have got a hot spot and it would have rubbed me raw, but none. No hot spots, no sharp edges. And again, I'm wearing it with a full-size gun, not some little featherweight, subcompact, itty-bitty micro pistol. This is a big-ass, heavy-ass gun. I was sweating. I was moving. No issues whatsoever. Now, I do always have to say, I always wear an undershirt. I always, no matter how hot it is, I always wear like a Dago tee underneath my standard shirt. And that's just because I don't like stuff touching my skin, right? I don't want a holster to rub my skin. I don't want the gun to rub my skin. So I do run a really thin Dago tee underneath it. But again, it doesn't really mean a whole lot. And to be honest with you, because this holster impressed me so much, I actually wound up buying the exact same rig for its little brother, my Sig P365 AXG Legion. Same great fit, same great retention, same flawless performance. Don't have the P problem with it. It doesn't quite, block the zipper, I guess you'd say. I didn't have that same issue with it as I did with the full size. But that speaks volumes. I was so impressed with that holster after all the training I did. I said, well, why would I buy a different holster for the baby brother, the 365 AXG Legion? I'm sold. This is my holster, man. This is now my go-to recommendation to anyone asking me. It really is. If a customer says, hey, man, what kind of holster do you recommend? Well, let's talk about options first off and what works best for you, how you carry, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Materials, you'll never get leather people away from leather. It's just the way it is, right? They're 1911 in their leather holster outside the waistband. But if anybody asks me, well, what do you recommend or what do you carry? I'm going to shoot people to the Dara, man. What's the best holster for serious concealed carry people? The Dara. It really is. But notice that I said serious carry people because you've got a price investment in it, but that's a minimal investment to ensure that this gun stays put and it draws out fast. So what's my final verdict on this? Dara, you fucking nailed it. You fucking killed it on this thing. Like, badassery. From the materials to the modularity, from the real world function to the customer service, the company, the brand. This holster system is the standard now for me. If you're still running that Amazon special or that one size fits all holster, let's rephrase that. That Amazon special or that one size fits none holster, it's time to upgrade your holster. I trust this system with my life from here on out. And if you're serious about carrying, you should too. I'm clapping and my hat's off to you. This is a big win for Dara and a big win for EDC. Badass. Well, that's it for today, folks. If this helped you out, consider sharing it with someone who needs a better holster or somebody who's just a dork and they carry it simply in their pocket. Got a gear question or review request? Hit me up. I'm easy to find. Leave a comment down in whatever platform that you're using and let me know. What do you want me to test, or what do you want me to review, or what do you simply want me to talk about? And it could be anything. I'm really involved in the politicking of firearms and our 2A amendment rights. To any sort of gear, gun, gadgets, knives, anything that you can think of, hit me up and let me know. I'd be more than happy to do what you guys want me to do. So until next time, stay alert, stay ready, stay dangerous.